I closed the office 54. No judge, no prosecutor wished to hear witnesses. He said to me, Mr. Wiesenthal, look, we are 35 miles from the border. Maybe in a week they are here.
You mean the Russians?
Then will be you and I in Siberia. This was the situation. The only winners from this Cold War was the Nazis.
The State of Israel was proclaimed in a dramatic proclamation by David Ben-Gurion.
After the war, the shock of the images of the camps was everywhere. The birth of Israel benefited, if one may say, from the fact that there had been this horrible tragedy of the Jews of Europe. The sense of, what the Jews have suffered is so horrendous, now we have to do something.
On the same day, only 30 minutes later, Israel was invaded by 6 Arab armies.
As soon as Israel was established, it was founded as a state, Arabs were Nazis.
Were they?
Of course not. But in the public discourse, when Ben-Gurion was talking about Nasser, he was talking about a Hitler.
Our war of independence, fought after 6 millions of our people have been exterminated by the Nazis, proved once again that the cause of justice, faithfully pursued, must triumph in the end.
In the 60s, we were having a very interesting development. Was, of course, the capture of Eichmann and the Eichmann trial.
Reviving memories of the Nazi horrors of the Second World War.
Few of us realized at the time already, although it was all in the open, but emotionally, I suppose, we were unprepared to connect with the fact that this was really a political trial.
Entering the bulletproof prisoner's box is the man charged with the annihilation of millions of Jews in Nazi death camps.
Because for the first 15 years, the Holocaust was totally repressed in Israel. In fact, my generation growing up in Israel, we didn't know anything about the Holocaust. The people who had numbers on their arms always wore long sleeves, so the first thing they did was to have an operation to have it removed. There was a sense of shame of this past. And when Eichmann came on stage, and I purposely use this metaphor because it was a stage performance, very carefully orchestrated by Ben-Gurion and the state, not only Israel became aware of the Holocaust, but the world became aware of the Holocaust.
The Jewish people and crimes against humanity.
Accused, together with others, during the period 1939 to 1945, caused the killing of millions of Jews in his capacity as the person responsible for the execution of the Nazi plan for the physical extermination of the Jews, known as the final solution of the Jewish problem.
It was the first time that the Holocaust got represented as a kind of hard-edged object in its own right. It served to put what we now call the Holocaust on the agenda.
The agenda was not moral, to teach the world that there was evil in the world. This even, Germans knew that there is evil in the world. Now wait, you have to compensate. And how does one compensate? Compensation, at least for Ben-Gurion, and he often said it, over and above being material compensation, was also the recognition, this was the subtext really of what the world had owed to the Jews, to recognize that we are morally superior as victims. And this is precisely what the culture of victimhood in present day, not only America, but I hope it doesn't reach Western Europe, but Israel has it already too, comes from. Victims are morally superior.
The 90s are the period of the greatest expansion of the awareness of this, of what we call the Holocaust, the extermination of the Jews of Europe.
For more than any other event, the Holocaust gave rise to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the charter of our common humanity. And it contributed, indeed made certain, the long overdue creation of the nation of Israel. Now, with the demise of communism and the rise of democracy out of the ashes of former communist states, with the end of the Cold War, we must not only rejoice in so much that is good in the world, but recognize that not all in this new world is good. We dedicate the United States Holocaust Museum and so bind one of the darkest lessons in history to the hopeful soul of America.
After the demise of communism, which was the evil empire, Western liberal society, which was now victorious all through, needs, like every society that wants to affirm its own values, needs to emphasize the radical opposite of its own self-image. And what could be a more radical opposite, a more evil system really, than Nazi Germany? People are vaguely aware of it, so you bring it to awareness, and it is really the total opposite. Everybody remembers the great sacrifices to beat the Nazis and so on, and the most horrific center of it is obviously the extermination of the Jews. So I think that it has something to do with no other opposite image at this stage.
One of my criticisms of the focus on Holocaust memory in the United States, and this is very unlike Holocaust memory in Germany, is that it's cost-free for Americans. There is this enormous and very well done Holocaust Museum in Washington. There's no museum of slavery. What would we think of the Germans if they said, well, of course, the Holocaust was really a terrible, terrible thing, but what's really important is that in Berlin we build a monument to American black slavery. I mean, this would be grotesque.
We have learned some lessons, minor lessons perhaps, that we are all responsible, and indifference is a sin and a punishment.
It is frequently said the Holocaust can sensitize us to incidents of oppression and mass murder abroad, and I don't doubt that for many people it does. But by setting this very high standard, it can as easily desensitize us, because compared to the Holocaust, all kinds of other stuff looks not so bad.
I remember this small epiphany I had when President Clinton and Elie Wiesel were dedicating the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, and Elie Wiesel turned to Clinton in the middle of his speech.
And Mr. President, I cannot not tell you something. I have been in the former Yugoslavia last fall. I cannot sleep since of what I have seen. Something, as a Jew I am saying that. We must do something to stop the bloodshed in that country.
And the camera then panned to President Clinton, who clenched his jaw and whose eyes glistened. And then I heard these terrible words. He did not say them, but I heard them. He said, "But Elie, I am doing something about the genocide in Bosnia-Herzegovina. I'm here with you, remembering the Holocaust." And there's a suspicion that all this memory work is actually a substitute for acting.
In the debate on Bosnia, there were seriously conversations. Is what's going on truly Holocaustal or merely genocidal? Is it truly genocidal or merely atrocious? Which is a truly disgusting and not merely unpleasant way of talking about, but something that